The movie begins with a wide, beautiful landscape of a lake surrounded by lush green trees. A man with long hair stands beside the lake, looking ahead at a group of young Swedes inside the water. The man looks like their leader and is training them to fight. The group swims around, and we see a girl inside the water looking rather lost. She is also training with the others, but her expressions look disturbed, like she has seen a ghost. Suddenly, the man orders them to pair up for a duel, and all the kids form pairs. The girl gets paired up with a boy. As she looks around the water, she loses sight of the boy, who then attacks her. During the fight, the girl sees strange visions of a forest. Inside the forest, she sees a woman with her eyes covered with a cloth. The vision twists and turns. And then she sees a woman inside a strange cottage, who then again gets replaced with another woman, who is bound with ropes and is shrieking in a loud voice. These visions make the poor girl scream in fright. She shrieks and madly kicks around the water. When she comes back to her senses, she sees that their leader has come down to the water and is preventing her from drowning. He calms her down eventually. A little later, we see her and the leader having a conversation at a dinner table in their house. It turns out the man is named Hakon. He is a royal lord working for the throne and is the guardian of the girl, who is named Nana. Nana sits there quietly with unfocused eyes, probably thinking about the earlier episode. Hakon asks her if she saw something, and what it was that she saw. Nana sits there quietly, without uttering a single word. He tries to understand her situation, and comforts her by talking about the history of visions and how they have been sought after since ancient times. The man caresses her cheek and gives her a cloth containing some items. He tells her that it contains all the things that were with her when he first took her under his tutelage. These things were very dear to the little girl, especially the key that she looks at. She picks it up and tells Hakon that she remembers it. He smiles and remembers how she wouldn't let go of the key, nor would she let anyone take it from her. Hakon then tells her about the mission assigned to him. He has to go to the north to search for a friend named Bur who escorted a missionary and disappeared midway. They were never found again. Thus Hakon was ordered by the Majesty to go and look for them. He tells Nana that he has to go. Nana looks sad listening to his departure, and asks if he will be leaving immediately. Hakon looks at the girl before him, for whom he has started to care like his own daughter. He looks at her sad and solemn expression, and against his better judgment, decides to take her along on the dangerous mission. The girl immediately perks up, and the party departs for their search and rescue mission. Hakon and Nana, with a couple of other royal soldiers, depart for the mission. They travel by a boat and reach a village. Hakon tells them that the people here do not consider the Swedish king's authority, so they must be extra careful. They walk through the path in the woods and come out before an inn. Inside the inn, a man who looks like their leader is standing and proposing a toast, while outside Hakon asks everyone to be ready and alert, lest anyone should attack them. He rattles and pushes the door open to enter the inn. The man who was proposing the toast earlier shouts at him. Everyone watches the man as he loudly calls him names, and then laughs and calls him to come to hug him. Turns out, the man is Hakon's old friend. He orders the server to treat them with food and ale. The man looks at Nana and offers her something sweeter, which Nana declines and says that ale will be fine. Hakon tells his old friend that Nana is his fosterling. He raised and trained her among the royal guards of Sigtuna. The man looks at Hakon and says that he never told him about her, to which Hakon replies that neither did he tell him that he has become a drunkard. Hakon mocks his friend, who is named Kettle, for neglecting the village and drowning himself in alcohol like a careless addict. Kettle ignores him and introduces his slave, named Deja. She serves him and is very efficient in medicine. He looks at the woman and starts reciting a poem about how one should never trust a maiden's word. Hakon gets fed up with his friend's foolish blabbering and tells him about their mission and its emergency. He asks if they have visited the village, as they might still be in the forest since they never arrived at the destination that they were supposed to. Kettle again evades the topic and says that there are plenty of people who travel through the village. Hakon gets angry at his friend for being so vague. Kettle knows that his friend is planning to go into the forest to find them. Hakon tells him that Kettle should also accompany. The man laughs it off and tries to decline. Hakon looks at his once brave and mighty friend, who would once have gone into the forest with nothing but his axe, but who has now become a lazy drunkard. Kettle remains quiet for a while, thinking about something, and then talks about the forest. He says that there is some ominous being in the forest, apart from the trail robbers and murderers. There are only a very few who dare to travel through that area, unless they have a very good reason. Hakon gets angry at the mythical blabbering, and mocks his friend by sarcastically asking if there are ghosts or goblins. Kettle looks at him and reminds him of their previous adventures, and how Hakon knows better than anyone else that these are not just tales and imaginations. After arguing back and forth, Kettle tells him that he didn't see anyone and he doesn't care. Hakon finally mentions that the person who went missing was Bjur, their old friend, and Kettle immediately regrets saying that he does not care. Finally, he agrees to help them, and together they go to search for their missing friend. The party now has 2 additional members, including Kettle and his slave Deja. They arrive at a house, isolated from society near the forest that is full of darkness. Kettle says that it is the last possible stop before entering the forest, and if Bjur desired to rest, it would have been here. A family lives there, including a couple, their 2 daughters, and the wife's mother, who is a witch and whom everyone dislikes. Kettle gets down from his horse. Just outside the house, he clears his throat loudly, and a cautious-looking man comes to stand outside. He has an axe with him, and asks what business they have there. Behind the man, his wife is looking all broody and domineering. Kettle tells him that they are there on a sudden visit, and that he must forgive them. He then introduces Hakon and calls him by his title Hakon the Terrible, which he got during a war they fought in. Hakon sighs in exasperation, but does not say anything. Behind Kettle, Nanna introduces Hakon by his official title, Lord and Sheriff of Sigtuna. He then goes to drag the man a little away from his wife to ask questions about the party that has been lost. He asks if he might have seen them, but the man remains quiet, while his wife answers for him. Kettle knows that as long as his wife is here, the poor man can't talk. With nothing else left, he then asks the man if he would mind letting them stay a bit and serving the mail. The man agrees, and they decide to stay. Kettle remembers the man's mother-in-law and inquires if the woman has passed away yet. The wife asks petulantly what they want with her mother. All of the natives of the village there spit at the mention of the old lady's name. The husband replies that she is alive. Turns out, the poor old woman is suffering from leg ulcers that are making the flesh of her legs decay. Kettle suggests asking her about the missing party, and the wife says that they do not practice any heresy on their farm. Kettle gets angry and says that nothing would happen to the family as long as they aid them in their mission. Hakon tries to dissuade Kettle, but eventually they give up. Nanna is sent to the old woman's chambers to find out any answers she might have, while all the others go inside the house to wait for the ale. As Nanna nears the old woman's chambers, chills travel down her spine. The area looks eerie. She enters the place, and a wave of extremely foul smell hits her nostrils, pushing her back out. The old woman sees her expression and removes the blanket, showing her the rotting flesh on her legs. Nanna comes to sit before the old woman and asks her about the party they are searching for. The woman says that they are no longer alive, and if Nanna and her party choose to go after them, they will also end up losing their lives. Nanna tells her that they have to search for them, no matter what, and she must help them. The old woman asks Nanna to hand her the boiling pot of water, and she complies. The room is filled with strange and scary objects, including skulls, bones, and dark ornaments resembling insects. The old woman throws some herbs into the water and drinks it. The room turns quiet, and then all of a sudden, the old lady starts shaking and uttering strange chants. Back in the storage room, Randy, the wife of the man questioned earlier, comes in and is jumped from the back by his brother, named Call, who holds a knife to her throat. She scolds him for always being so spooky, and asks if he had anything to do with the disappearance of the people in the woods. The man merely laughs. Randy becomes angry at him, and tells him how the Swedes are thinking it's him who might have taken their lives. She tells him to stay put and hide inside the room till they go away. It can be seen that the people in this village have bad blood with the throne, and do not consider its authority. Back inside the house, Kettle asks the man from earlier, who is named R, about his daughters. He says that they seem to have grown up since the last time he saw them. The ale takes quite some time, and Randy seems to be gone, so he sends off Deja to go and look for the woman. Kettle is true to his title, a drunkard. Deja goes to the storage, but gets blocked by Randy, who insists that she must take the ale from the barrel that she is carrying out. Randy seems suspicious to Deja, who agrees with her but keeps in mind to tell Kettle about this occurrence. Back inside the house, Kettle keeps interrogating R to tell him about the missing people. He then asks about his brother-in-law Call, who is usually roaming around the woods. R keeps denying knowledge of everything, and Kettle gets irritated. He threatens the poor man, saying that if he wants his family alive and well, he must tell him everything. Meanwhile, Randy returns with the ale. They drink, and Kettle asks Randy about her brother. She doesn't tell him, and he threatens her children, implying that if any of them lie, they will bear the consequences. Soon afterward, they prepare to leave the house. The party gets out of the house, and Deja comes running to tell Kettle about the storage room. Kettle shows a little concern for R's food storage, and then tells him that he will go check it out. Meanwhile, in the isolated chambers, the old woman falls unconscious before Nanna. She gets up to check on the woman, when the old lady suddenly awakens and grabs her hand, shouting for her to get out. The woman looks possessed, and poor Nanna, scared, flees for her life. Kettle also leaves the storage room without looking around, after hearing the commotion outside. The old woman follows Nanna outside, and screams at them to never go off the trail. The party leave the house and enter the forest in their search mission. They stop at a lake to swim and wash up. Back in the house, R finds his brother-in-law Call. He argues with him and tells him to go away. Call talks about an uprising against the Swedes, and tells her that their numbers are increasing and he should join them, but he refuses and in turn asks if he attacked the missing people, to which he disagrees. He says that R already knows what happened to them, pointing at some unknown evil creatures residing in those woods. Night falls, and the party sleep in the forest near the lake. Nanna awakens in the middle of the night after hearing some distant sounds. Kettle tells the group that they are shepherds, and they sing so as not to get lonely during the night and warm old people's hearts. The next morning, they set out again, and one of the two soldiers, named Odd, breaks down, asking how far must they travel and how they would even find anyone in this dense forest. Odd keeps blabbering, when Hakon comes and tells him to be quiet. Meanwhile, they are surrounded by rebels who have decided to attack them. The people successfully surround the party and launch an attack. Luckily, Hakon sees them and calls them to make a formation. A bloody attack ensues, and both parties beat the hell out of each other using axes, swords, and even rocks. The fight ends with Odd's leg getting injured, making him unable to move. The party fight their way out of the onslaught and catch Call, who is fighting among the rebels. They take him and skillfully evade the onslaught. The party settle in a quiet corner of the forest. Nana is concerned, looking around as their attackers are nowhere in sight. She feels as if they deliberately let them get away, and asks where they might be. Kettle asks Call about his companions, but he doesn't speak up. On the other side, Deja is trying to cure Odd's wound. The man seems to hallucinate and sees a little girl that the others can't see. He asks who that girl is, and the others are lost. Deja concludes that he has a fever, and thus he is seeing things. Hakan tells Nana to hold Call, as he asks him if he knows where the missing party is. When he keeps quiet, Hakan tortures him. Nana looks at the scene, tightly closes her eyes, and sees strange incomprehensible visions. Suddenly, she opens her eyes and finds herself alone in the same forest. She sees a corpse there which moves, and scared, closes her eyes again. When she opens them, the corpse disappears. She looks around, and then sees a group of crows in the sky near a cliff, and comes running to tell Hakan. Just like Nana, the viewers are also unable to tell reality and visions apart. They immediately follow the crows. While back in their resting place, Deja takes care of Call. He tells her that they should not have entered the forest. There's still time, they should go back. Nana and Hakan, along with Gundar, finally reach the place and find the bodies of Bura and the missionary. The bodies have been drained of all life, and look as if some dark creature has cursed them and sucked out their life force. The party stop in their tracks, and all hope for finding their friend alive ends right then and there. Back in their resting spot, Odd shrieks and thunders at some unknown creature or entity. It's as if he has gone mad. The party returns, and the environment turns dark as the realization of the presence of ominous creatures slowly starts to dawn upon the group. It rains, and they remain silently sprawled around in that resting place. Kettle and Hakan sit in a corner, discussing what they must do now that their rescue mission has failed. Kettle suggests going back and bringing more men, but Hakan says that they can't risk another ambush. Kettle looks at Nana, sitting in the corner, and tells Hakan that being there must be connected to her, since she is related to the folk who practiced magic and witchcraft. Hakan refuses to believe that. He looks at Nana, sitting solemnly in a corner, and goes to cheer her up. They talk, and Nana looks happy with him. She then confesses to him that she saw something, and she is not sure if it was real or not. The depressing day turns into night, and Nana sees a woman in her dream. She keeps turning and twisting, when a strange creature slithers its way out of the forest over her body and onto Odd, who lies wide awake. Nana suddenly jerks awake, and watches as the strange creature sucks the life out of Odd. Nana feels the breath of something right behind her ear, and shrieks at the top of her lungs. Everybody wakes up, and the creatures retreat. Nana shrieks at Hakan, saying that it wasn't human. It must be something else. Despite everything he has seen, the man still chooses to remain ignorant. He tells her that she is seeing things and runs off with Gundar after the creatures. He forbids Nana to follow them, but she does not listen and after a while goes after them. Back in the clearing, only Deja, Kettle, and Call remain. Deja, after seeing Odd's lifeless and deformed face, starts panicking, while Call keeps on chanting they are here. Nana, along with Hakan and Gundar, follows the creatures to reach a strange cave. Nana looks skeptical, and asks Hakan not to go inside. She suggests waiting for them, and taking them out as soon as the creatures step foot outside, but Hakan does not listen and goes in, followed by Gundar. They follow the congested pathways inside the cave with a lamp and their swords, and soon get separated, while Nana stays outside, terrified. Hakan sees a woman with her back to him inside the cave, and his lamp suddenly goes out. When he lights it again, the woman is gone. Instead, he sees a strange unconscious body, and when he tries to go towards it, he is simultaneously attacked and possessed by the creature. After that, he loses all his sanity, and in a daze, takes his own. Poor Gundar finds him and shouts for him to stop, but he is unable to save his companion. Outside the cave, Nana is also approached by a creature, which strangely leaves the girl without doing her any harm. It has happened twice that these creatures have approached Nana and left without harming her. The duo come back to their partners, and they solemnly sit together, mourning the loss of their friends. With Odd and Hakan gone, only Nana, Kettle, Deja, Gundar, and Call remain. Gundar tells them how Hakan turned mad back in the cave when he was possessed. Nana says that it was a witch, and she saw it too. Suddenly, Call speaks up. He tells them that it was a Draugr, a living corpse. He tells them about an old witch named Groa, who was tortured to her demise during his mother's time due to accusations of being an evil person. She was knowledgeable in runes and sorcery. After her passing, she reincarnated as an evil spirit, and wherever she went, disaster and chaos followed. Nana asks Call if there is a way to make them disappear, and Call explains how the villagers then dug out her grave and decapitated her. They burned her body and scattered her ashes in the water, so that she could never move again. They find out how they can get rid of the creature, but the problem is that they don't know where the grave is. Suddenly, they hear a strange noise coming from the woods, and Deja starts acting strange. She starts seeing a child, just like Odd did, and Kettle starts panicking. He finally tells the group that he knows where the bodies are buried. They follow Kettle's lead to find the corpses and end this madness. Deja's condition worsens, and they notice the strange creatures following them. When Gundar tries to attack the evil being, it unleashes a force that throws him backward and turns the entire terrain dark. Kettle shouts for them to run towards the marsh. Back in the rear, Deja sees Gunder getting attacked by the evil creature and gives up her own life to save Gunder. Kettle looks back at the scene unfolding and runs to save her, but to no avail. Poor Deja loses her life honorably to save another. Kettle breaks down over her lifeless form. On the other hand, the ruthless entity attacks Gunder, who struggles to even move a muscle. Nana desperately digs at the marsh, where Kettle mentioned the bodies were. The entity slowly tries to suck the life out of Gunder, while Nana hurriedly claws at the mud to save him. Nana feels something touch her hand and pulls it up. She looks at the hand-tied skeleton, and a strange metal object that emerged with it. She notices that the skeleton's hands are tied with metal cuffs and bound with a huge lock. She finally pulls out the skeletons and decapitates them with a sword. The darkness is immediately dispelled and Gunder is saved. The group, now reduced to 4, waits near a river, with Kettle finally opening up about how he knew about the location of the body. He tells them about a couple whom they hanged under the suspicion of sorcery back during the days of the war. They find the 2 bodies and burn them to scatter their ashes. Gunder asks about the little girl that everyone has been seeing and whose body was not found. Kettle says that they found a little girl along with the couple, and he couldn't do it, so Hakan was the one who took care of the girl. Hearing this, Nana angrily gets up and says that Hakan would never do something like that. She tells them about a boat she saw, and they would leave this forest in it after scattering the ashes of the bodies in the river. Nana storms off and goes to a quiet corner with the handcuffs and the lock. She takes out the key that she always keeps with her and tries the lock. As she turns the key, the lock opens. Kettle, who stalked her to this corner, attacks her from behind and tries to take her life. He seems to blame her for everything that has happened in the forest. Luckily for Nana, Call comes in and saves her life. He holds Kettle back while Gunder also comes running. As the 2 men overpower him, he tells them that Nana is the missing girl. Turns out that Hakan, instead of taking the life, adopted her and cared for her. They cuff Kettle, and Gunder goes to fetch the boat. Nana tells them that she wants to try something that might help with the strange metal object that she found. Call keeps an eye on Kettle, while Nana finds a runic map. She suddenly recalls a strange ritual that her mother used to perform, and tries it. When she performs the ritual, Nana sees a vision where a demon tells her about the curse of her mother, which will keep going on forever until the blood guilt is paid. As she witnesses the twisted tortures, everything around her in the real world turns dark. Gunder sees the little girl return and quickly pulls the boat. Call runs to Nana and pulls her unconscious form back to consciousness. Nana throws up, and Call picks her up to leave before something sinister comes after them. Kettle follows. When they drag the boat into the water, the girl also catches up to them. Gunder looks at the trio beside him and sacrifices to save them. They board the ship while Gunder tries to stop the girl, who sucks out every drop of life from his helpless body. Now reduced to 3, the group move away from the forest through the water. Kettle, his hands now untied, watches Nana and Call, and seizing his chance, attacks Call, hitting him in the head with the oar. Jumping up, he tries to attack Nana again, but she saves herself this time and counterattacks, making Kettle jump off the boat in an attempt to flee. Nana jumps off after him, and they engage in a fierce fight in the water and then proceed to the shore, still fighting each other. Suddenly, Nana sees the spirit of the child standing a little way away. As Kettle chokes her with his bare hands, she manages to get her hand locked with his and throws away the key in the water. Moments before passing away, Nana notices the child's spirit fade away too. Now reduced to 1, and all alone, Kettle sits on the shore near Nana's body. As he helplessly looks around, suddenly he sees the spirit of Nana, now evil and menacing, approaching him from a little distance. Kettle looks at his hand tied together with Nana's body and gives out one last terrified scream. The screen turns black, and we do not see if he is spared or not. The movie ends with a scene of Call, who wakes up in the boat that they fled in. The boat is almost half filled with bloodied water. He is the only survivor of this entire tragedy.